Welcome to Drum and Drummer, a podcast focused on drums, drumming and drummers. I'm George Pickering and that's Ben Winty, and we are both professional drummers in this business we call music. So stick around and join us as we pass the time whilst trying to stay in time.
Was it Mick Jagger?
Yeah.
What's no one else does?
Yeah.
To be fair, could be described as an elderly drunk woman. Did you buy a new snare?
No, I didn't. I was tempted, very tempted.
I was feeding you snare drums like, George.
I know, and I didn't make it down to G Russ, and but I put it as a poll on my Instagram, and I got some great messages from people, saying...
I voted.
Yeah. Most people did, and most people voted for get it. And then there was a few that said, no, don't. One of them being my mum, But I was talking to someone called Jono Helsby, who I used to go to BIM with, and he was saying each snare is apparently different. So it's kind of like obviously every snare is different. It's literally a different snare. But they can sound different. So it's the same with cymbals, Some people may not know that even if you get an A custom crash 18-inch, you buy another one, it's going to sound it's not going to be like this sounds like a rubber duck and this sounds like a barn door closing, you know what I mean?
Two great examples of different sounds.
Yeah. But
what's the audio equivalent of chalk and cheese?
Well, I was going to say, what does a barn
rubber
door
ducks
closing
and barn doors,
like?
I think.
Yeah. Do you think of the barn
great.
door closing as when it closes, or do you think of it as the creak? What went through your head when I said that?
My head went push.
Yeah. That's what. Oh, okay. So the whole
Yeah.
The whole bit.
Yeah. That needs oiling.
Yeah. So you said it's best to try. It's best to try them.
Of course.
But the thing is, at the same time, it would be like it's not going to sound bad, is it? But I didn't get it anyway because I didn't make it down to G Russ, and I missed the 20% deal because now the Euros is over. So
it is over.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's that familiar feeling.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's discuss it.
We're recording this the day after the final. I just, hello darkness, my old friend. But I think you have to look at the positives. Got to another final. We had the longest journey you can have in the Euros. Played a very good team. Just come unstuck.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Now what?
You got to get on with your life.
Yeah. And you go, okay, cool. Me and Neil have a phrase. Keep editing the bass.
Life's crazy. Big shit going on in the world. And this was during COVID. Oh, there's 1,000 people dying a day. Just, if you start thinking about it, just keep editing the bass. I can do that. I can sit here in Pro Tools and just keep editing the bass. But good show with the boys,
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you
do you know
very
what's
much.
funny is...
Thank you very much for the memories.
It's as much as it's sad we didn't win, what if that's the closest we get for a while? Because we know England's track history, and it hasn't been great for years. And then the last 2 Euros, we were in the final, But still, it was like, to a lot of people, it wasn't enough. I went on Facebook this morning, it's like, Southgate, he's fucked us, how dare he, he needs to resign now. I'm glad he's resigning. It's just like, where we're in the final, like 1 Euros.
And there's also,
I always remember that.
23 other teams didn't win it.
Yeah.
Like 22 other teams didn't win it. So we're not alone.
No.
We were just at the party the longest.
Yeah. 1 year we didn't qualify. I remember that Smithy sketch. Do you remember where he was like, what was it? I booked tickets on the hopes that you might qualify, and which seems mad that a team led by David Beckham couldn't even get to the Euros, let alone get to the final. But anyway, that's enough about football. You had a big weekend though.
I've had a big weekend. I've had a big week. I've had a big week. I guess, because really it did start on Monday and ended on Sunday. It's a real true definition of a week. So I had a gig in Cornwall. For those of you familiar with the geographic nature of the United Kingdom, specifically England, more specifically the South, will know that Portsmouth and St Ives in Cornwall are not that close together.
No.
So we got this booking a while ago, and gig in Cornwall. Okay, it's a long way.
Yeah.
It's too far to drive back the same night.
Yeah.
And then they added the acoustic set in the afternoon. Oh, standard arrival time for that is 1 p.m. So you're thinking, to get down to Cornwall, it's all A roads. It's all A roads. Maybe a little couple of mile on the M5, just to wet your whistle, wet your motorway whistle. I was thinking, bloody hell, that's an early start then, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
an
that
early
really
start. So I emailed the agency. I said, look, great acoustic, we do it. Is there any chance we could push the arrival time a bit later? Because it's really far away. And I don't think you thought of that.
No.
You're just chasing the sales. And they replied, oh, we've just been speaking to them. They actually want you there at midday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go, well, no, you've gone the other way there.
I think I wanted to... Yeah. I wanted to just send them a link to the...
Bless you, you've messed that up.
to the Google Maps.
Yeah.
Like, you know, journey planner, and just be like, have a think.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you got to take... Well, we took the opportunity. Neil likes surfing. Cornwall, pretty good for surfing.
Pretty good, yeah.
It's like, well, let's make a weekend of it. Let's make it fun. It's a long journey. It's a long day at the gig. It's 12 hours at the gig. Let's make a weekend of it. So, hire van, Friday, 8 a.m. I pick up the van. We load the gear. I pick up Neil en route. We pick up Mike en route from near Ringwood. We drive down. We go straight to one of the beaches. It starts raining out here. So we have a wander on a lovely beach, lovely big beach. We had an Airbnb, and then Friday night we got a taxi in St Ives and meal out, a few drinks, a few Guinea.
Where'd you go? What did you get?
We went to I think it's a chain of places, but it's called like something lounge. Each one's has got a different name.
Yeah.
So I had something called the Cowboy Smash Burger. So 2 patties, fried egg, crispy onions, maple barbecue sauce. Yeah, it's good. And then I had a couple of peach coladas.
Did you eat it with a knife and fork?
I did. Yeah. A couple of peach coladas. Pina colada with a bit of peach syrup. Very nice.
What is pina? What is colada?
It's a pina colada.
No, I know that, but what is so?
Is peanut pineapple? Don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, that would make sense. Because I'm thinking if they've changed the word pina to peach, it's like, oh, does that imply that the colada drink is actually pina flavoured, And then you go, well, what is pina?
Yeah.
Who's pina? Yeah. Anyway, carry on. You had some peach coladas.
Yeah, a bit of pudding, and went to the Lifeboat Inn.
Nice.
For a Guinea. Taxi back. And then Saturday, that was our window. Up early. Go to the beach. Papa Neil took all his surfing gear.
Bet he did.
Neil and Mike went bodyboarding and surfing. Had a little paddle. Kicked the ball out on the beach. I didn't do paddleboarding.
Oh. You went for a paddle.
I just went for a paddle, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And got back, got changed, got ready, got to the gig about 11:30. Lovely venue, right, and it's part of the Carbis Bay. It was in Carbis Bay.
Nice.
Carbis Bay Hotel, who have like a separate bit on the beachfront. They call it the Beach Club restaurant venue. And the wedding was there, so acoustics outside.
Nice.
And whilst it rained on Friday and was cloudy on Saturday was gorgeous sunshine. Did the acoustic set. We went to the restaurant at the Moon Hotel for our meal. It was all very nice and relaxed and chilled. Beautiful day. Good sounding room, good crowd. It was a good experience.
Mm.
And then 7-minute drive back to the Airbnb. Lovely.
Lovely. Yeah.
And then up Sunday, we had breakfast. It was staying in like a holiday park.
Yeah.
I'll be harsh with the statement, but you know, one of them shit ones.
Yeah.
It was a bit Phoenix Nights, but it was good. It was good. It was a nice little chalet. Did everything we sort of needed, and then had fried breakfast in the cafe there, restaurant.
Nice.
Hit the road.
Jack
got home at 5, and then it was get ready for the football,
the Euros. Yeah.
But before that, because you had this, it's like something you have a big weekend, and I had a lot of like recording work and stuff, and it was a few deadlines. I was kind of like, I want to get as much done as I can before I go to Cornwall, and so I had to do 3 12-hour days.
Yeah.
At the studio Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then work Thursday daytime. But I gave myself Thursday night off because I thought I got a big long weekend. But it was great. And basically, it was free.
Yeah.
We just put all the food, drinks, taxis, just all on the band expenses, really.
Yeah.
Which comes off the total,
Yeah.
We are spending our money.
Yeah.
But
You're like,
if you don't...
Neil,
if
you sure you need another surfboard? Because
half pint for him.
Yeah.
Because you could either because... The budget's the same, whatever the gigs, whatever we do for that gig. So it's like, you could drive down in the morning, leave at 5 a.m. and drive down, and then do the gig and then drive home. It's mental to do that. But then you save the money on accommodation, but we did the maths, and it was like, well, fuck it, it's such a long way.
Yeah.
If you do that where you're just like, you either drive down on the day or you drive back the night of. It's so horrific.
Yeah.
That it just makes the gig so much harder, so much more stressful. So let's just make life easier and make a little weekend of it. And so I basically had a free holiday, and all I had to do was just play drums for a bit. And the cajon, which I did remember to bring. That was like, do not forget the cajon to this, because that's a long way to go back and get it.
That is, yeah. Yeah. And I don't feel like, even if you put on one of those groups, hey, has anyone in St. Ives got... Well, probably in St. Ives.
Yeah, probably have, yeah.
People have cajons knocking about.
They've got acoustic guitars and shark necklaces, shark tooth necklaces
exactly,
coming out there.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, Bon Iver. Fuck off.
Billabong, Reef, Quicksilver.
Who's that other one
Animal,
that they listen
Fat
to?
Willies. There was a Fat Willie shop.
Fat Face. Who's that artist that they all love? All those wannabe hippies with white guys with dreads. I
just think of the Second In Betweeners film, with that guy.
Yeah.
Ben.
Jason Mraz, that's who I'm thinking. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Newton
Jason
Faulkner.
Mraz. Yeah, let's all listen to that one.
He's not
Jason
attractive,
Mraz song.
but listen to his songs.
Ben Howard on his first album.
Ben Howard, classic.
I mean, we could. This is a good game. Just list all.
There was
the
a whole
things,
era, really, wasn't there?
There was a whole era, of these. They have like a sort of necklace that has like a shark tooth on it, sort of scruffy hair, like a stinky shirt, sandal, flip flops when it's raining with no, just shitty flip flops,
Yeah,
but could get more women than anyone else. Do you know what I mean?
Every festival wristband they've ever been to.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
sort of
so
sun
Ben Howard,
bleached, slightly curly hair.
Yep. Jason Mraz. Some sort of they got tanned arms, but just up to where the wetsuit from surfing isn't on.
Well, they've got a wetsuit.
They've got a wetsuit.
Enough reason to buy one, not just rent one.
Yeah, and their parents are very, very rich. I think that's the main part. Well, it sounds like you had a great weekend anyway.
It was good. We made the most of it. It would have been very easy to, on the Saturday, with the fact we had to be at the gig at midday, it's not a lot of time, and it would have been very easy after a long drive and a few drinks. It'd be very easy, I'll just sleep in. sleep in, and then. But if you're not on it
And have a plan.
but I will just sleep in, and then you either try and do something, and then you're rushing, and then you're late, and then you're stressed, or you end up
And you just get to the gig and then you're like,
these beaches are quite incredible,
and we missed an opportunity to just go and
even just go and walk on them, or just see them, or like
kick a ball about. And
because why else would you go? You know, unless you actually book on a holiday to St Ives, it's like you're not gonna, you know.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect reason.
I'm not just popping down there.
No.
But no, it was good. It was good. 'Cause a lot of conversations came up actually. We talking about because we had to do the acoustic set, and it's something we don't do that often. And we do, because it's the pop punk band, we kind of do like quite an unconventional acoustic set as well. So, you know, there's a lot of work to do especially for Mike, who sings and plays guitar. You know, this is the only function band he does. He doesn't do other ones. It's not one of his main things like it is for me and Neil. And there were certain things like at the Airbnb, we did have a run through of some of the stuff just to make sure we're all on the same page and that. And the first dance, and there's certain things that crop up, and it's not just mine. There's a lot of other people we've worked with where what becomes slightly apparent to me is, and these are just maybe more like general topics, but one thing where people can go wrong when learning stuff or preparing, because the whole sort of thing is that we don't really rehearse. That's the nature of the beast, and you know, if you're a good enough musician to be doing this level of stuff, then you shouldn't need to rehearse, you know. All go and learn the song and play it, you know. Like I've said before, someone's written it for you and recorded it, and you can listen to it. Just do that. Just do what they're doing.
And God, it's so easy to listen to it. I'll just say very quickly, I remember listening to Keith Richards talking about when he was in the Stones. He's still in the Stones. And they were trying to learn songs. And I thought, it'd be quite hard if you've just got records, wouldn't it? Be like, oh, what was that bit? Oh, let's move the needle. Try and, you know, Spotify, LA baby, just move the screen, you know, move your finger on the screen. Listen to that mid-late again. Anyway, sorry, butting in. It's easy to learn songs.
It is. A couple of things that came up that are general things, you know, that I kind of really learned at uni and stuff. And one thing is practicing wrong.
Okay.
Like practicing some. So, for example, and this is just an example we had on the gig, right? So, Hey There Delilah by the Playmite Tees.
Yeah.
Right.
I might include that in Beach Guys as well. That was a song they play on acoustic guitar. Anyway, carry on.
So the chorus is an 8-bar. It's 8 bars, right? Or 16, 2 lots of 8, whatever. The last chorus, there's an additional bar. It hangs on the last chord, which I think is an A. It hangs on the last chord for an extra bar. Or it's the end of the verse before the chorus. It's one of those two things. I think it might be the verse. Right. So when you're learning that, you should be listening to the original and going, oh, it does something different there. Make a note of it, right? Make a note of that. If you forget to make a note of it, or then you practice by yourself, right? Which probably a lot of singers and guitarists do, because they're, you know, if you run that song through not playing along to the original or with a band, and you get to that third verse and you don't do that extra bar and you go into the chorus, the song sounds absolutely fine. Yeah. There's no accountability for you missing that additional bar. Then when you come and play with a band and the rest of the band do know there's an extra bar, that's where it goes wrong. So you can be like, I'm going to practice this song. And you can play it through 3 or 4 times, practice it. But you are practicing that section wrong because you're not doing that extra bar. Doesn't sound wrong, but then you are practicing something incorrectly. And it can happen with a lot of stuff. So that's why I always think the key when you're learning a song, this is how I do it anyway. This is what we were trying to help Mike be more efficient and better prepared. It's like, The first thing I do when I have to learn a song is I just listen to it. I'm not at a drum kit. I have my pen and paper ready. I don't write anything down. I just listen to it through and pick up what's the vibe.
Yeah.
Okay, it's medium tempo. It's rock. Okay, it's pop. It's a disco. It's 4/4 It's a ballad. It's slow. It's in 4/4. No, it's in 6/8 or 3/4 or just what's the general. What is this song doing? Okay, drums don't come in till halfway through, or okay, it starts with drums, and so then I'll then go through and listen and go intro, bosh.
I listen to the intro. What's going on? How long is it? It's 4 bars. Is there drums? Yes. What are the drums doing?
And I go through like that, and I make sure my chart has all the information. And one way I look at it is if I gave this chart to George, if he listened to the song, could he then perform it? Could I give this map to someone else and they could find the destination? And a big thing I think a lot of guitarists or singers do is they go on Ultimate Guitar and they get the chords, which are always have wrong chords in. They always have wrong chords. And they print it off and it gives them the basic information to play the song. Now that works if you're playing it on your own, but it doesn't give you the information of what's happening in the instrumental section. How long is it? What's the sort of speed? What are the other members of the band doing? Are there, and then they leave a lot of it up to sort of chance. And it's like, if you gave that chart to someone else, they wouldn't be able to play the song exactly like the record.
No.
This is it's just giving you, here's some lyrics and chords, but it doesn't tell you how to perform what's on the record.
No.
And so I think what's key is if you're learning something at the very beginning, at the very point you're starting, is make sure you accurately work out what's going on.
Yeah.
So that when you have to play it again or practice it, you are practicing it correctly. And that saves you so much time, because there was a couple of instances where Mike had done his bit. He's like, I'll practice this. Cool, but you've got that bit wrong. That's not how it goes. But he's now ingrained it into himself.
Yeah.
He's practiced something wrong, And I think just preparation of charts. And he'd sort of like, I had a chart, but then I didn't have the chords on it because I thought I knew them, but I've done another chart. And my point was like, if you'd have just done the chart correctly at the very start when you had to learn that song, you wouldn't need to do it again.
No.
So that's something, and I think, the first answer you had to do was Still Into You by Paramore. I'd done it before, so I had a chart, and I listened through the charts.
Yep, chart tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
I don't have to do any work again on this. So it's kind of that, get it right at the start, and it just saves you.
It does.
Saves you a lot of sort of time and effort. Really.
So there's two things there. One, chart, like, someone else is going to read it. I remember someone saying that once, and I thought, that's spot on. And whenever I nick your charts, it's always like that. It's like, I don't have to think, because I think you can easily do that. If you write a chart out for yourself, you can write in a language that's like, oh, well, I get it. But if I give it to someone else, they might be like, what does that mean? Whereas if it's just like, okay, that's clear. But also, I do think there is a thing with, I think as a drummer or maybe bassist, you do learn the song verbatim, because you're like, well, I'm like, what else am I going to do? Like, I'm only ever going to play this song with a band. Whatever song you're playing on drums, you're only ever going to play it with a band. You're not going to play Still Into You by Paramore just on drums by yourself and then go, oh, maybe I'll do an extra chorus, because it's like, what? You're only going to play it along to the track or with a band. So it's like, why wouldn't you get it right? And the point of this is, when you're a singer with a guitar, you might go and do functions on your own. And I think this is the thing when we started Wildwood Sky and played with the brilliant Lennon and Lucy, and they both for years have done their own solo gigs, and there was just a few moments where, and this is in no way having a dig, this is just purely facts and what happens, and it was quite a cool learning curve for everyone. They'd say, oh, on this song I usually just cut out this verse and then just do a chorus until the end or something. I found that works good when I'm just playing pubs on my own. And then I had to be like, well, let's not do that because that's not the song. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like, but I got it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I get that middle 8 is weird, and I don't know why it's in there anyway. And such a good song that seems to be like a shit bit, but we can't miss it out because. And and it was almost like a thing of like, you know, it's like, well, as long as we all know, you know, I think that might have been their argument. Like, well, as long as we all know that we're not going to do that. And I said, yeah, I know, but this is function band, well, baby. It's like there's going to be a lot of times where I'm not here, you know. I'm going to get Connor Griffiths on a lot of these, you know. So it's like, and if no one's, and if you have to say to him on every, okay, Connor, just so you know, we had a rehearsal once and we've changed every single song because it was just easier on the day, you know. And I've said all this stuff before, but I think that is the case. I think, you know, it's the same with Mike, you know. It's like he might practice the songs and then, you know, if you're playing guitar, it doesn't make any difference if you miss out a bar, and it makes it easier and all that stuff like that, you know. And I had an example of it on a gig on Saturday, I think, where we played Jackson, and I know you know that tune by Johnny Cash, and there's a weird like 2/4 bar for a second, or I can't remember. And I remember on the rehearsal, I was just drilling the band. I was like, we have to do that. It's a fucker, but like, I know there's going to be a lot of guitarists or whatever that will come in and they've learnt it that way because there's other bands that play it that way. And so for ages, we did it that way. And then at one point, they just said to me, oh, by the way, we don't do that anymore. We've just made it just a bar of 4 rather than a bar of 2. And I kind of went, okay, fine. But then we were doing a gig on Saturday and we had this other guitarist, Eddie White, who I can't remember meeting before, but apparently I have. And
I've done lots of gigs with Eddie. It's great.
Yeah, he's top lad, brilliant guitarist. I remember Ben was sort of looking over at him before it came up to that bit, almost to be like, just say, like, kind of like, get ready, like, because it's going to be different to what you know. And it was like, that's why we did the rehearsal, to avoid things like that, you know, sort of like, because it's weird when you play with a band, they're like, oh, just so you know, we've changed the structure on half the songs. You're like, why? They were good. There's a reason they're hits, you know, like, how, yeah, you haven't made it better, you know. Do you want to hear about my gigs? Unless we've got anything else on structure. So, I mean, the last few weeks, my gigs have been all about adjustment. That's how I'm going to describe them. Adjusting to what tools I have. So, obviously, you know, the dream is to be able to play your big Tama Star classic
drums.
with all your cymbals. Nah. Yeah, drums, yeah. But obviously that can't always happen. So now I've got the Gretsch Catalina, which I do really love, to be fair. But yeah, in the past 2 weeks, I've had 2 gigs on an electric kit and then 1 gig at a restaurant where it was a stripped back kit. So I'll start with the stripped back kit because that was interesting. So it was with this guy, Tim Love, who I played with before. Great guy. And
Tim Love, the lover boy.
It's such a good name, isn't it? And he said, oh yeah, I got this gig at a restaurant, you know, the fee isn't amazing, but it's Friday night if you're up for it. I said, yeah, cool, I'm not doing anything, you know. I said, well, what do you want me to bring? And he said, oh, well, he said, you know, some drummers just bought kick, snare and hats. One guy bought an SPD and a kick drum. You know, you could bring a full kit if you want. You could just bring the, you know, and I was like, okay, like, I'll just
tambourine.
Yeah. This is it. So I bought kick, snare, hats, and then my new ride. I was like, I can do more than enough with that, you know. And we turned up, and it very much was just a restaurant. Like, you know, you think, well, maybe there'll be a corner where we're playing it. It's like, no, it felt like we were just disturbing people's meal. And it was.
I'd be disturbed. Yeah, I'd hate it.
Yeah,
I'd leave.
And I when we started playing, I was very conscious of noise, and people were still eating. You know, they're still bringing food out. yeah. And I could just see people like shouting at tables, like, "What?" You know, and I was like, "Oh, this is awful." I was like, "I'm gonna rein it in." So already, you got to think, right? I need to play as softly as I can, and I like playing soft. I someone who I really want to have on the show at some point, Freddie Sheed, and he's a big fan of. He calls it like, I think he calls it like just tinkling the drums or something like that, or like just tapping on, just being really light. And he seems to be like in his own path. What's the phrase? I don't know. It doesn't seem. I think a lot of drummers are like, yeah, whack it, I'm a hard hitter, and this guy's like, no. I'm gonna just tap it and it's gonna sound amazing, and it does. So it was nice to do that. I mean, at that ride, I was just like, it's 21 inch, and I swear if I hit it more than 10%, it was like, and I was like, okay, I need to be really conscious of the ride, and just a lot of use cross stick where you can, and just all these things. And it's just like, just listening to the room. It's like people are still eating, for now we're background music, But then as the night went on, people had stopped eating and they were drinking and they were singing along. And one local drunk woman got up and was dancing. And she, well, why is no one else dancing? And people were like...
Was it Mick Jagger?
Yeah.
Why is no one else dancing?
Yeah.
To be fair, could be described as an elderly drunk woman.
Well, this is it. Yeah. Oh, start me up. Oh. Dancing in Beaconsfield.
I said I'd like to see the dessert menu, please.
Yeah, exactly. Both did the clap. Yeah, fuck. Anyway, so she was up dancing, and yeah, no one was joining in, but it was like they knew her. Someone audibly went, no, we're not going to dance with you, and I was like, this is a bit tense. Anyway,
not after last time.
Yeah. That gig was it was good, arrived at 7, left by 11, thank you very much.
That's nice.
But
that's nice. I left Friday at 7:45 and got back 5 p.m. Sunday. Yeah
but you made significantly more money than me, so
yeah,
it all balances
everything
out.
was paid for, and I came home with some good cash. Perfect.
Exactly. So anyway, but that was all like, right, what can I do with this? And people talk about creativity and like, imagine if you're a chef and you're only allowed to use food that's green in colour. You know what I mean?
Well, just think of Ready Steady Cook.
Oh my God, there's
Ready,
not a
Steady,
day
Drum.
go by that I don't think of Ready Steady Cook.
No.
Did you
Ainsley
say Ready Steady
Harriott
Drum?
Lives forever in my heart.
Rent free in my head. Yeah.
Rent free. Yeah.
So that was that gig, and then so I had 2 gigs at Stockley Mill. Have you been to Stockley Mill yet?
Played it loads of times, mate.
Yeah. Has it always been
Rubbish.
electric kit?
No, I played there like first probably gig I played there was about 11 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I probably played there like I reckon about 6 to 8 times.
Okay.
First time we went, it wasn't electric kit, but it was sound limiter.
Mm.
And then I remember our bassist at the time, Emmett, they were like, you got to turn it down. And I'm like, just, tinkering, tapping at the kit.
Yeah.
And they're like, you got to turn the bass down. And Emmett at the time like had this like Trace Elliott, like 4x10 cab with a big Russian Trace Elliott, Russian valve head. And he went, well, it's on or off. He was like, he had it on the lowest set. He's like, it's on or off, mate.
Yeah.
And then, not that long after, then they introduced, it's electric kit only.
Yeah, right.
So I've done a lot of electric gigs there. But of course now I'm in this sweet position.
Well,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
Does not
bring
matter.
it on. So I had a gig there last week. And
Shit load in there. I hate the load in there.
Yeah, it's annoying. Because everyone, it's a tight,
really
tight
small,
staircase.
windy staircase up to the second floor.
Yeah.
Which all the guests use.
As soon as you're loading in.
The world's slowest lift.
Yeah, which we left the stands in, and me and Ben left, and Len and Lucy were trying to get the stands out, and they couldn't open the lift as we left. Right, so let me tell you about the kit. So usually I just use Ox's kit, but I was like, do you know what? I have an electric kit. Let's see if I can get it to work, because it just stopped working randomly. And I set it up in the studio, and I was like, plugged it in. I was like, oh, it now works. Don't know why. Don't know why it wasn't working before, but it works now. But
Probably user error.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was playing and it would just turn off every now and then. I'm like, that's not good. That is not good. And I went, well, what's the worst that could happen? So I turned up to the gig and I plugged it in. I was like, okay, it's on. And I think people were a bit like, you seem very relieved that the thing you've bought is working, you know. And I was like, it's cool. Like, I was like, right, okay, it's working. This is good, you know. And then, and then during I Will Wait, it just died. Just died.
Did it?
Just turned off. Just turned itself off. And I went, oh shit. And then I just had to just turn it on.
Do you know,
again.
I wasn't actually expecting it to turn off. I was expecting you to be like, oh, it was fine. I just fucked something up when I was practicing.
No,
but
I don't think it's the lead because I bought a £20 adapter the other day, which is just like a proper, like the best one.
So was the module just shutting
It's
down?
the module. Yeah, it's the brain of it. And I think
The brain.
My
the
dad
brain.
my dad
Sorry.
looked at it. That's okay. And he just said he was looking in the input. He's like, oh, I can see something's not quite right there. He was like, I'll have a look at it. You know, I'll take it to work. And so it's kind of, you plug it in and it does turn on. But if you move the lead even a little bit, that's it. It turns off. So I think at just one point someone nudged the kit and that was it. It just turned off. So I was aware of that. And also playing an electric kit is obviously wildly different. And I felt like there was a lot of times where I was like, this is so thin and this is so flat. And I'm not getting any like wash or any noise, you know. I'm just, you know, you're playing a song on the hi-hat that's usually on the hi-hat and the hi-hat sounds like shit, you know. And also, it wasn't opening when I wanted it to. You know, I wanted it to be like open or closed. And it'd be like, you'd lift your foot up and it's like, it's still closed. And then suddenly it's open, you know. And I hate that there's no gradual sizzle because I'm a big fan of opening a hi-hat slowly. And so anyway, I had another gig with same venue a week later. I'm using the kit again. And on the day, I was like checking it worked. I'm like, okay, it does work. But if it doesn't, what am I going to do? And I bought my SPD along because I thought, well, at least I'll have something that can make drum noises, you know, because you get the kind of the drum noises in there. And I set it up and it turned on and it was working. And it was better this week. Like, you kind of, like last week, I'd forgot my in-ear pack. It was just fucking chaos last week. So I didn't have in-ears. And it's so weird. I was talking to Connor Griffiths about it the other day. We met up, well, we didn't meet up deliberately. We were just bumped into each other in Brighton. And I was saying it felt like just playing Rock Band. Like,
he's one of those guys you bump into. I bumped into him at the train station in London.
Did you? Yeah.
He's the bumping in sort of guy.
He really is.
Nothing's pre-planned with Connor.
No.
I'll see you soon, Connor. You go, I'll bump into you soon.
Exactly. And so I was saying how it was so weird because I couldn't hear the drums. I didn't have in-ears. And I was just playing and I was like, I'm playing in time with everyone, but I'm not the one keeping it in time. And it's just like, but anyway, this week we kind of got it better. I had in-ears, I could hear the kit and adjustment. Let's talk about adjustment. Oh, by the way, the kit didn't die. So that was good.
Oh, that's
and
good.
I will get it fixed before.
Had your dad done anything to it?
No, he hadn't, but it just, for whatever reason, I was just like, no one touch it, you know? Because it will die. It died after the first set. We had a hour break, and I went back, and it had turned itself off, and I was like, "Ah, shit!" And I turned it on, and it was almost just get to the end of the set. Even like Mr. Brightside, I'm like, "Please don't die now." And then as soon as we got to the end, I was like, "Oh, good, I did it." It's like a relief, but yeah, it was all about adjustment, and I was like, "Well, the kit sounds shit." So how can I make it sound better? And so a lot of songs well, don't play it on the hi-hat, play it on the ride. Even if it's the verse, just play it on the ride because it sounds better than the hi-hat, you know, and just I don't know, just things like that. And just try and adjust the sounds, you know, the kick was really quiet. So I'm like, right, let's whack that up. And then I don't have to bash it as well. And yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? I was thinking about it in terms of you know, being a drummer or being a musician, and you think, I don't know, you know, if I didn't have the knowledge or experience, I might just turn up and be like, well, I've got my kit, so I'm just going to play it, you know what I mean? And I'm going to play it how I know, you know? And then it's just yeah, but this is a different kit, and the hi-hat's awful, so I'm not going to do that. You know, it's just, but I quite like that. I feel like gigs this year, I'm constantly doing that more than I've ever done. Like, right, how can I adjust this? And like listening to who you're playing with. You know, if it starts to sound a bit flat, like give it some energy, you know, whatever kit you're on, whatever scenario, you know. But yeah, but they're both actually really great gigs. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, oh, you know, you can make a room bounce with an electric kit, you know, and it was funny. People were pissed, but they were like funny pissed. There was just plants around the room.
Yeah, there's a lot of shrubbery in that.
There's a lot of shrubbery, and people were just picking up the plants and like dancing with them, or they put a plant in the dance floor and then they were dancing around it, and then people were like, "You're like this."
People are brilliant. People are crazy.
So everyone was. Dancing with this plant, and someone would do something with it, like, oh, look at this, and then I was like, Lennon. He's like, what? And he came over, and I shouted in his ear, like, I said, don't grab it if you haven't got one, you know. And but then I also saw. I'll say this one last thing. So with gigs, there's always a bit of me that's like, oh, what if no one dances, and what if I mess up, and what if blah blah blah, you know, what if it's a whole room of drummers and they're all judging me, you know. And while I was playing, I saw someone drink a pint of beer out of a shoe that someone had been wearing. They poured beer in it and then drank it, and everyone's chanting around him whilst we're playing Valerie. And I was like, no one's watching. This is fine. It doesn't matter that I'm an electric kit, you know. He doesn't know where he is. He's just drank out of a shoe, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, a lot of good adjustment. And I think it's just being a competent musician, and that's not me being arrogant or bigging myself up. It's just a matter of fact. It's
you're very right. You're very right, and you have to adapt. You have to be able to adapt. So I would say today's key lessons from this sermon, from this lecture, are: 1, good preparation, which enables you to practice things correctly. So avoid practicing wrong. So effective practice, efficient practice, saves you time in the long run. You got to know the rules of the song to then be able to adapt to a changing environment. You know what I mean? Because if you learn the song properly and you're prepared, then when things aren't quite right, you can adjust. You can adjust, whether that's sound, a depth, someone does something slightly different. If you know what's going on, then if someone does something slightly different, I know what they've done there, because I know where that should be. That sort of thing.
It is funny. I'd say, it's being many levels above where you're actually at. You know, with drums, I feel like anything could happen and I'll be all right. But bass, my God, if something goes wrong on a bass gig, I am absolutely...
You just got to wait till the next section.
Yeah, I'm absolutely at my limit.
He'll come back in the chorus, don't we? But I think it's learning, it's getting things right, so that they're kind of second nature. And and I said to Mike, because he was asking, he's like, how can I do better? How do you guys say it? And I said, you know, he's brilliant. He is brilliant. Like what he's doing in that band is awesome. I said, with certain songs, considering how long we've been playing them, I feel like you're still playing them, but you're not performing them. That's the difference. That's the next level you can reach. Is where it's second nature. You know exactly what you're doing. That you can actually perform these songs to the room of people. And another thing as well is like it's understanding what else is going in the song. I said, you know, one common mistake singers make is they learn the words and they learn the melody. They don't learn what's going on when they're not singing. So they don't learn how long that instrumental break is. They don't learn that solo is long but slightly different at the end, or things like that. So it's knowing what the rest of the band are doing. So that, and I said to Mike, you know, you should be able to perform these songs accurately with the band. You should also be able to perform them accurately without the band. Because sometimes you'll be in a situation where your monitor might break or your in-ears might break. You might not be able to hear what's going on. And sometimes you do your sound check and you set your in-ears and it's great, and then you start the gig and it all just sounds different. There's people in the room, they're louder, whatever. You should still, with those challenges, shouldn't stop you being able to effectively play your part. You know?
definitely not.
And people need to stop being late as well.
Yeah.
Just before we go, I was going to get something. 1 sec.
It's not your turn.
I asked you a question at the start of the show.
Fuck.
And your answer was no.
I can't remember what he said. Listeners, can you remember what he said? I have no idea. It's been nearly 50 minutes we've been chatting. How am I meant to remember what he said? Let's find out.
I said, did you buy a new snare?
Yes.
You said no.
No, yeah. But you have.
I did.
That looks cool.
Right.
Is that what? Are they cavemen?
So I, on Wednesday, see that was when the semi-final was, and I was like, well, the sale could end tonight.
Yeah.
Let's have a goosey, and this snare was on, and I hadn't seen it before. It's the Mapex Black Panther limited edition Babylonian.
Wow.
Snare drum. It's a steel snare drum, 14x5. Right. Do I need another snare? No.
How many have you got
now? Including the Roland, 12.
Okay. Cool.
Right, but sometimes you
Here's the justification.
you buy a piece of drum equipment because it will fill a gap in your arsenal, or a particular sound you want, a particular sound you're looking for, or you're replacing something that's broken. And I'd looked at online, seeing that they had a Pearl free floating copper snare drum. So I don't have a copper snare drum. I'd be interested to hear what that sounds like and see if that's something that gives me another bit of ammunition in the locker for studio drumming. Sometimes you just got to buy something because it looks cool, because you like it, right? So check this out.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's covered in hieroglyphics.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Just all around the snare drum.
I love the lugs as well, the big lugs.
Yeah.
No, not lugs.
So I was like, and 20% off. So that's a pretty good deal. Did a bit of research. So it's a steel snare drum. I do have a steel snare drum, but I have a hand hammered one. This one is hand hammered, but this is like kind of embossed. Yeah, kind of Babylonian hieroglyphics, really. But I looked it up, and it was a limited edition snare drum from 2005. There's only 500 made, and there was only 50 brought into the UK. And I just thought, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I want to get it. So, but I did check out the copper snare drum. It was really nice. I thought maybe a little bit too similar to my Yamaha brass recording custom. This one just had a bit more body, a bit more low end to it. It sounded really good. I think I need to change the top skin. This one's a bit used, but it just looks cool. That's going to look really good.
Does look very cool. Fantastic.
So I haven't yet taken it into the studio. That's why it's at home. And then I was having a look online. I was like, I'll just see what sort of secondhand, see if they've got any secondhand cymbals. Because obviously we were there looking at getting your ride. And I saw it and I was like, oh, they've got both the 17-inch Sabian Evolution HHX and a 17-inch Sabian Legacy. Now I have a 19-inch Legacy and an 18-inch Evolution. I really love those crash cymbals. And I was like, they've got 17-inch versions of them. I don't have a 17-inch crash. I'd just be interested to hear them. Yeah. And see. Because I got a 16, an 18, a 19, and two 20s. Haven't got a 17. So I was just like trying the snares out. And I was like, I think I like that. But I took my cymbals down with me as well on my sticks. So I'd set my cymbals up. I was like, I'll just go and grab those two crashes. Yeah. And just see. Popped them on, and the 17-inch Legacy, beautiful. Really? I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm just going to buy it. So.
What about the other one?
I basically walked into Graham Russell. I walked in and I went, I love the England team, but I think it'll be over. So here I am. Yeah. Let's talk. Yeah. Let's talk.
I mean, who are you? Are you from that
It wasn't over.
Yeah. You hear again.
So yeah, very,
I was tempted by a kit. But no. That would have been a bit too much.
That might have been a bit mad.
Been a bit too
yeah.
much.
Sorry. Did you? So you didn't get the Evolution though?
I didn't get the Evolution, but I did get the Legacy.
You got the Legacy. Cool.
Out of the two, the Legacy was. They both sounded good. The Evolution was a little bit more.
Was a bit thicker.
Mm.
And I think for that size of cymbal,
felt a little bit more
brittle.
Yeah.
Whereas even at a 17-inch,
the Legacy felt like it had that nice buttery impact.
Oh yeah. I didn't even
and
tell
a
you.
nice smooth wash.
I know we should wrap up soon, but yeah, I the night after I played the electric kit, I had a gig with Elliot actually, and it was the first time I'd used my ride and new hi-hats, and it was just a joy to play. I was talking to Pat about it last week and just saying how it's so weird. I was so used to just playing my rides and didn't think anything of it, and I was jaded by it, but didn't realise. I was just like, yeah, it's just my ride, and I just play that. But I'd had that ride since I was 17, and just thought, well, it does the job. It's a ride, But then, God, to play on a different ride and just learning, trying not to sound cheesy, but learning, how to play it and like what it does and like, the feel of it. Like even just like, oh, okay, you get this response from it. And I was just, a lot of those songs are kind of like swing songs maybe. So a lot of like ding, 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 and like, wow, if I put my stick there or move it there and just, for me, today's episode has been about adjustment, and that one was perfect. I was just like, God, can just every song just be on the ride, And if you crash in, it just has a little bit of sizzle. Just anytime you hit it, it's just a little bit of sizzle, baby. So yeah, it's great.
It's nice, isn't it?
We
it's
should
nice when you
have that. Yeah, have new gear. It's nice having new gear. It's nice to have all my tools. I bought another drum kit the other day that just stays in my room now, and that's just a practice kit. So now I essentially have 4 kits. I've got the big one for big gigs. I've got the Gretsch Catalina for functions and weddings and whatever. I've got the electric if there's sound limit or I need to take electric. And then I've got one that just stays in a practice room. And that'll just be my practice room kit forever. Do you know what I mean? It will just like wherever I am, just keep that there. I've no intention to gig with it. Just keep it there and just I can use that. So it's nice.
Speaking of adjustment, I'll just join in your adjustment chat very quickly because I've been using my Roland all season.
The VAD 504.
And the gig in Cornwall was no sound limit, so I took both sets of cymbals.
I used my real cymbals.
And I remember I think I said on here, the first time I played it, there was a sound limiter, and I felt like I still had to play. I had to play quietly, even though my volume wasn't
making a difference.
And I found things over the gigs I've done this year with it that, whilst positionally everything is exactly where I have my
acoustic kit,
although it's a 10-inch rather than 12-inch, but and they're mesh heads and they're great,
and just tweaking the sort of tension on those.
There's definitely been an adjustment of how to play this Roland kit properly, or how to play it and still get the enjoyment for myself, still get the power, still get the accuracy. And having done quite a few gigs on it now, it's like I'm there now. I've got this. Yeah, I've got how to play this hybrid kit down.
I think I've done more gigs with real cymbals than the Roland cymbals, but I've got the sort of, there's quite a bit of dynamics with for example, the toms. There's a lot of dynamics, which is great, in the sensitivity, but a quiet hit on a tom, if you're just doing a fill, like you kind of glance it, you get more response out of an acoustic drum than the Roland. So it's like you got to be a little bit more consistent with your velocity on the drum. But now it's like, and there was an element of like, oh, this cost me a lot of money and it's an electric kit. Should I be hitting it this hard? Like heel up on the kick drum, like bang, bang, playing Sum 41 or Nirvana. And then it's learning and being like, no, it's absolutely fine. And so for me now, I love it. I've got to that point where I'm playing this like I've always played a drum kit, with slight tweaks because it is mesh heads and it is. But I think now I've just got this. It really is like the best of both worlds. Like it sounds great out front, always determined by the room, but my ears sound great. My new ACS, like playing cymbals with that, is just now like amazing because I can hear all the frequencies. It's just quieter. There's no brashness. And if I get the levels right, it just sounds incredible in my ears. And it's like I've got the toms mic'd up as well. And so I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And like to the point where I'm like, I don't want to play an acoustic kit at a gig. At a wedding anyway.
Yeah.
Because I just think this really works. Really works. And I'm now at a point where I'm able to play it properly.
Yeah.
And help it work.
Yeah.
You know? So it's all good. It's great.
No, fantastic. Brilliant.
Well, that'll
do.
Do
Wrap up.
Yeah, let's wrap up, boy. Like a
an
fajita. Let's wrap up. Fajitas, they're good. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
George, thanks for your company as always.
We have guests coming up soon.
Yeah, we got a good one in the diary, haven't we?
Yeah, very good one.
Yeah.
Although let's say we've got good ones in the diary, because then, we've got more than one, and they might be like, oh, they didn't mean me.
Oh yeah, we have got more than one. No, that's just because I've basically been away and I've got no idea what's going on with my diary.
No, that's fair.
So we have thousands of good guests coming up.
But let's not do that. We've got two.
But get in touch, keep sharing on the Instagram, and send us a message, send us an email. At Drum and Drummer Pod or at Drum and Drummer Podcast. I can't remember.
Yep.
And get in touch and let us know how you're doing. How's your summer going? But yeah, thanks very much, George.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the other side.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Drum and Drummer. You can find us on Instagram at Drum and Drummer Podcast. And you can send us an email to drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com. Remember, just pick up the sticks and twat it.